All right, we are live on YouTube. Welcome to Navigating the Modern World with Coach Eli. Glad you could all join me here tonight. Tonight, if you're here live, it is Wednesday, December 14th, 2022. Happy holidays to you folks. If you notice here in the background, I'm having I have a Christmas background, and I'm going to be using Christmas backgrounds from this point until Christmas. So enjoy the beautiful scenery behind me. If you're here on the replay down the road, you can feel the Christmas spirit all year round because there's no better time of the year. It's the most joyous time of the year. And because my lady and I are such positive and happy people, we want to make your stay here as joyous and positive as possible. Now, hold on a second. My throat. Hold on a second. I just took my allergy medication and it's just starting to kick in. So forgive me for that. But before we go any further, let me first of all make sure that the YouTube notification has gone out. And it looks like it absolutely has. And let me also check out the back end of YouTube and make sure that everything is rolling smoothly. And it absolutely is. All right, folks, have a great show for you here tonight. We'll get to the topic in just a second. First of all, I do want to apologize to those of you that were waiting for the live stream to start a little over half an hour ago. Some things, came up that required urgent attention, and my lady and I worked together to take care of it, and now we're good to go. And my lady came in the chat. She's such a wonderful lady and says, "Sorry, guys, it's my fault. This time he is late." Hey, that's okay. Things happen. It's not that big of a deal. But we want to apologize to you folks because we really don't like keeping you waiting. The next thing I want to discuss here is something that's very near and dear to my heart. When these things happen, regardless of who it involves, it is very near and dear to my heart. Earlier today, I was made aware of a community posting on another creator's channel. It's a creator that I probably haven't had the best relationship with, not by my choice, more so because of the people he hangs around with and the type of content they create. That doesn't matter when it comes to this, but I want to, give a special shout out to Paul from the P. Martin channel. He's somebody I've known out here for about 4 years, maybe 3.5 years or so, something like that, maybe close to 4 years. And he is suffering from liver failure. He put a community posting out on his channel earlier today. And, I made a posting on my community tab here on Coach Eli, 2 authentic live streams. And I even shared it on the main channel to make as many people aware as possible. And I just want to say this, Paul, despite any of our past differences, and despite the fact that the group you hang out with is not anywhere near in alignment with the type of content that I like to create, or maybe that you enjoy or like creating, I still want to wish you the best. I think deep inside you're a good guy, and I really hope that whatever it takes to remedy the situation here, you have my blessing, you have my lady's blessing, and you have the blessing of the entire, Coach Eli clan or Coach Eli community, however you want to call it. So, please keep Paul P. Martin channel. Please keep him in your thoughts and prayers. And Paul, we wish you a very speedy recovery, man. And God bless you. And your posting really, really touched me, man. You really owned it, man. And I'm sure you're going to be okay, bro. So, get well as quickly as possible so you can come back and be even stronger than you've already been, man. Again, God bless you. And my thoughts and prayers are with you and the entire Coach Eli community or clan. Our thoughts and prayers are with you. All right. So with that being said, tonight I have a great topic here. It is titled The Great Importance of Emotional Support for Men. One more time, the great importance of emotional support for men. And, I will tell you, what happened to Paul really inspired me to do this topic here. Because if you don't know Paul's backstory, I'm not going to really get into it, but, he had some substance abuse issues for 30 years. He got clean, I believe it was about 7 years ago. Paul, please, if that's wrong, please correct me, but I believe it was 7 years ago. When you're in that situation, when you have a substance abuse issue or you're an alcoholic, typically the reason why people, abuse substances and abuse alcohol is because they're not in the best place emotionally, or they're struggling to make ends meet, or, they just feel maybe their life isn't where it should be. And for men, it's been very difficult for men, especially in the modern world, to not only express their feelings, but to seek out, the necessary help and emotional support that they need. Give me 1 second, please. Sorry, I just thought I heard something in the other room. My lady's in the other room with the dogs, and everything's okay. I really feel that if we're able to give men more emotional support when they first start going through things, they're going to be able to, turn their lives around and, stop abusing these substances or alcohol much sooner than just leaving them alone, right? The problem is, a lot of men just do not want to be there for other men, emotionally. And I think it's very important that men do support other men with emotional support. I've never had a problem with it. I am in touch with my emotions at a very deep level. I'm very much in touch with my emotions. Does that make me any less of a man? No, I'm a strong man. I'm a confident man. I'm all man. But I also have emotions because I care about people and I have empathy. And anytime a brother or sister, any man or woman needs help from me or my lady, and my family's the same way too, we're the type of people that will give anyone emotional support that's going through something. And I think that makes all the difference. So I have a couple of blog postings I'm going to go over tonight that are very, very interesting. And you folks will learn a lot from them. Before we get to that, I want to thank Mr. Tumnus once again. Earlier today on my walking stream, Mr. Tumnus, as you see here on the screen, I carried it over from the walking stream. Mr. Tumnus donated another $50. God bless you, Mr. Tumnus, if you're around. I'm just at a loss for words. I'm at a loss for words. This person, whoever they are, I have a good feeling about who it is. I'm not 100% sure. Nobody really is, but whoever you are, God bless you. They've now donated $450 to this channel via Super Chat over the last 6 days to almost a week. And once again, we greatly appreciate you, and we thank you for that. If anyone else wants to, donate to support the channel here, you can donate in any amount based on the value you feel you are receiving. You can go to the bottom of the chat and hit the super chat while we're here live, or the super sticker on the pre-recorded videos or the live stream replays. Once this goes to a live stream replay and it's done processing, you'll see the little heart there below the title that says thanks. That's called the super thanks. You can send a paid highlighted message even in the comments section of pre-recorded videos or live stream replays. So you can do it that way too if you aren't watching this live. or you can donate via PayPal or Cash App. Nightbot is going to be sharing my PayPal and Cash App links every 7 minutes in the chat. On PayPal, you can go to paypal.me/Coach Eli. And on Cash App, you can go to $the real Coach Eli. And as always, donations are greatly appreciated, but they are not required. And one more thing, this is a members only chat here. What that means is that some streams will still be publicly available, but if you want to chat in the chat, you will either need to be a moderator. Moderators are exempt from needing a members only chat membership. You will either need to be a moderator, or you'll need to purchase a minimum $2.99 membership package, which will get you members only chats. You'll be able to chat in member only chat live streams. My suggestion would be to go with the $4.99 package, because that will also get you the pre-recorded videos or live stream replays that I put to members only content. And that will get you everything, including the chats and the pre-recorded members only content. And if you are a moderator, you do not get the members only videos for free. You will have to purchase a $4.99 membership if you want to get those. Only the members only chats are free for moderators. Give me 1 second, please. Yeah, I keep hearing some noise in the other room, and I think the dogs are just settling in for the night, so I just keep muting and checking in with my lady, but it'll be okay. All right, so let's go ahead and switch on over to the browser screen here and get right to this. And both of these blogs are weirdly aligned. They're, not in the typical alignment, so I'm going to do the best I can to format it on the screen for you folks to see. If you're on a smartphone, you can tilt it landscape if you want to see the screen and zoom in. If you're on a laptop or desktop, or you're on your TV, watching this on your TV, you should be able to see it just fine. But anyway, the topic of the first blog is what we know about masculinity and asking for emotional support. Let me turn off the chat for a second so you can see that. What we know about masculinity and asking for emotional support. All right, let me also make sure that the sound is working properly. Give me a second. And both of these blogs are... All right. So let's get right to it. This was written on October 7th, 2019, so just a little over 3 years ago. It's still very, very relevant. What we know about masculinity. In the U.S. and around the world, men are often told to value strength, control, and self-sufficiency, and to avoid being vulnerable or asking for help. Well, we're told that by who? By other men that say, hey, you're not a real strong man, you're a weak man if you are not allowing yourself to be vulnerable or allow yourself to ask for help when necessary. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm here to tell you folks, being vulnerable, allowing yourself to be vulnerable, maybe not all the time, but at times when necessary, allowing yourself to be vulnerable even as a man makes you more of a man. As long as you know how to balance it out, compared to other times when you are supposed to be a strong man, right? Because they say, hey, in the U.S. and around the world, men are often told to value strength, control, and self-sufficiency, and to avoid being vulnerable or asking for help. Hang on a second. Okay, I'm sorry. I keep hearing noises, and it's okay. We're good, but we're good though. Men's displays of sadness, loneliness, affection, love, and friendship, rather than being recognized as authentic and necessary, are all too often interrupted as signs of weakness or a failure to be a real man. And that is a bunch of crap. I'm here to tell you guys there is nothing wrong, for a man to display sadness, loneliness, affection, love, and friendship. Okay? Nothing wrong with that. Now, if you're like that 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, then that may be a problem. Most of the time as a man, you should, value strength, control, and self-sufficiency. But at times when called for, when necessary, such as like being there for your, significant other, your lady, right? Nothing wrong with, displaying some emotion. Nothing wrong with that. That doesn't make you any less of a man. The stories that are told and the beliefs that are held about how men should and shouldn't behave have serious implications for the lives of those socialized as men. Young men who believe in the most restrictive ideas about manhood, including that they shouldn't be vulnerable or ask for help, are consistently more likely to binge drink, bully, and harass, to show signs of depression, and to have considered suicide. I have seen so many people in my life, offline and online, behave in exactly the same ways as I just read. Again, let me read that again. Young men who believe in the most restrictive ideas about manhood, including that they shouldn't be vulnerable or ask for help, are consistently more likely to binge drink, bully, and harass, to show signs of depression, and to have considered suicide, because these guys are very insecure and, lack a lot of self-love. And because they're insecure and lack self-love, they aren't able to identify, how good it is to let things out every now and then emotionally, even as a man. That's just the bottom line. And, when you are bonding with a woman, if you want to have a real relationship with a woman and possibly marry a woman and you're not able to bond with her emotionally, it's not going to last, because that's what women want. Women want and desire and, really value the emotional bond. Sure, the physical attraction has to be there, but the emotional bond has to be there as well. A lot of men nowadays don't know how to display that. They don't. Or they're afraid to display it, thinking that they're going to get shamed. No. Anyone that shames a man for being vulnerable at times when it's called for, that's the person with the problem, not you. Not you. In her book, Deep Secrets, researcher Niobe Way reveals that from a young age, boys do recognize the importance of close friendships and connection. Drawing from hundreds of interviews with adolescent boys in the U.S., she finds that boys share their deepest secrets and feelings with their closest male friends. Yet, as they move into adolescence, boys become distrustful, lose these friendships, and feel isolated and alone. Yeah. I have nothing more to add to that. That speaks for itself. Let me check out the chat here real quick. I don't know if we're going to have many people chatting because it is a members-only chat. We got 13 people here and 5 likes. Please smash the thumbs up and share this out on your community tabs and any social media site where you feel you have a group of people that would enjoy this type of content. Nothing in the chat, so let's continue. What is changing as boys grow up? Researchers and culture writers increasingly point to how rigid masculine norms influence the way boys and men think about their friendships and how they go about seeking emotional support and connections. Yeah, I mean, again, that speaks for itself. I don't really have a lot to add to it besides saying I completely agree. A lot of these young men, are not being raised with the best morals, values, and ethics, or they lack having a strong yet sensitive, secure, and confident man that allows himself to be vulnerable as an example. So that's where the problem stems from right there. Lack of parenting, lack of a great well-balanced masculine father and a great well-balanced feminine mother, which is what I'm trying to say. The problem with that for me is because I was raised that way. I cannot break that. Like, even when I come on the verge of crying, nothing happens. Because you were raised to not cry, you don't allow yourself to feel a natural emotion when you're hurt or feeling pain. So you bottle it up, and then eventually you blow up like a volcano, or you project your misery and insecurities onto other people, and bully them because you feel like you aren't able to express an emotion you feel. Yeah, that's what's happening. You guys have to turn that around and just be yourself. And if you feel something, you got to let it out before it consumes you and you blow up or something worse happens, right? You bully and harass someone or hurt someone physically. You gotta let it out. Okay. I just sit there and get more mad at what is going on because I can't break. It just forces me to go more internal, and I can't have that outlet. Well, what you need is an outlet of, other men that are going to support you through this. You support each other through this. Men need to support each other, emotionally, just like women support each other emotionally. But that's not what's happening. Typically, the only time men, from what I've seen, men only get emotional support from their female significant other, right? If they can even get someone, to date them, that accepts them for their lack of vulnerabilities and lack of showing emotion, which is important to women. Focus group participant, Washington, D.C., U.S., the Man Box, a study on being a young man in the U.S., U.K., and Mexico. All right. Let me see. We have a total of 3 parts. Yeah, this is not too terribly long. All right. What is happening here? How come I can't see the chat there? Oh, I turned off the chat. I have to turn it back on. Okay. Nothing happened since that time, so not a big deal. All right. What does our research say about the links between masculinities and asking for help? Number 1, rigid ideas about manhood often characterize asking for help as a sign of weakness. Well, I will say it's not a sign of weakness to ask for help, even if you're a man. It's a sign of weakness when you aren't able to ask for help because you fear that your peers of men are going to attack you and say that, you're not manly. No, I think it's the opposite. If you aren't able to ask for help or you're afraid to ask for help when necessary, I think that makes you less of a man. It takes more of a man to own up to anything, including asking for help. According to the Man Box, Equimundo's study of young men ages 18 to 30 in the U.S., U.K., and Mexico, these pressures about self-sufficiency and never seeking help are still very common in respondents' lives. The majority of men in the U.S. and U.K. reported that they'd encountered the social instruction that a man who talks a lot about his worries, fears, and problems shouldn't really get respect. Well, that's wrong. There's nothing wrong with a man talking about it. And if a man is constantly talking about it, he may be, trying to reach out for help so he can better himself. In that situation, he may not be ready for a relationship with a woman, but he's reaching out to help from other men, emotional help from other men, so that group of his peers can help him work through this, and that way he can become a better, man that's in touch with his emotions and has no problem asking for help when necessary, and that will be more attractive to women. Okay. So again, a man who talks a lot about his worries, fears, and problems shouldn't really get respect, and that men should figure out their personal problems on their own without asking others for help. That's a bunch of BS, and you should ask for help when needed. Okay. Whether you're a man or a woman, if you need help, ask for help. Nothing wrong with that. But you got to do your part. If you're going to ask for help, you have to be willing to participate in your own rescue. You can't go and ask people for help and then not do anything to help other people help you. You've got to participate in other people helping you. But there's nothing wrong with asking for help, okay? These messages can produce a fear of appearing vulnerable which still has a powerful influence over young men's behaviors. Yeah, because they're taught nowadays and raised to not show emotion, to suck it up, buttercup, right? And so these guys hold it in, and then it builds up and builds up and builds up until one day they blow up. And who knows when they're going to blow up? Let's say they're on a date with a woman or they're dating someone and they blow up in front of her. What could possibly happen to her, right? Or they could blow up while they're driving on the freeway. Who knows, right? So, these men, need to be supported and told that, hey, it's okay to talk about your feelings and don't hold it in. Let it out or it'll just keep getting worse. And it doesn't make you any less of a man to talk about your feelings or ask for help. Bottom line. Okay, so again, these messages can produce a fear of appearing vulnerable, which still has a powerful influence over young men's behaviors, particularly for men in the man box. To recognize pain, physical or emotional, is to risk being told by your male friends or family that you are not a real man. No, you're more of a real man than you think. Now, if you're behaving this way all day, every day, like I mentioned earlier, then you're more so acting like a woman because women are emotional all day, 24/7. Men, have emotions, but, I honestly feel that when it's called for a man to show emotions, then that's no problem. But if you're emotional all day, every day, then you're never going to show enough strength. Then, you're never going to display masculinity if you don't show any strength at all at times. So you need to balance it out, but there's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong with, again, allowing yourself to be vulnerable and asking for help. Okay. Number 2. Let me check out the chat here real quick. When men do seek support, it is from the women in their lives. And I mentioned this earlier. Again, when men do seek support, it is from the women in their lives because they're already emotional beings and they supposedly love the man. And a woman that loves, her man truly is, going to want to bond with her man emotionally and help him out in that way. But you got to be balanced. You can't be emotional all the time. You can't be overly emotional all the time. For the most part, you got to be strong. But when it's called for, like I said, at times, there's nothing wrong with displaying that emotion or asking for help, even from your significant other, the lady, okay? When they do seek support, it is from women in their lives, their mothers, girlfriends, or wives. It is much rarer for young men to seek help from a male friend, and they almost never do so from their fathers. The reason why they never seek emotional support from their friends is because their friends don't want to hear it. That's what my friends used to do to me when I needed emotional support to work through past breakups or other things. They would just say, come on, dude, be a man, dude, come on, bro. She was just a chick, dude. You'll get over it, dude. That's what they do, and that doesn't help. So that's why men withdraw. Men try to get support from men initially, but when they get shut down once, twice, 3 times, they're like, screw it, I'm on my own. And then what I used to do back in my younger days until I became stronger and more, emotionally strong and et cetera, I used to withdraw. If my friends weren't willing to support me emotionally to work through something because I was in so much pain from a breakup or some other loss, I would just withdraw. And then they would try to call me and say, dude, you haven't hung out in a while. You haven't hung out. You haven't hung out in a while. You haven't hung out. Well, of course I haven't hung out because when you need my support emotionally or in any other way, I'm there. But when I need you for emotional support, you tell me to suck it up, buttercup. So there you go. I'm just going to not hang out with you. I'm just going to stay at home and figure it out on my own. And that's what I did. And eventually I got stronger to the point of where these things don't really bother me that much anymore because I'm that secure within myself, but I had to build up to that level. Okay. Let's see. Number 3. Young men are more eager hang on a second. This is a weird blog here. Young men are eager for spaces to talk about their feelings and to talk about gender, power, and their relationships with other men. Yeah, they want it. I think every man, here's the problem, what I've seen. I think every man wants emotional support from their group of guy friends. The problem is, when it comes time to giving your guy friends emotional support, you don't want to do it, but you want it from them, right? The majority of men just don't want to hear about your issues, but they want you to listen to theirs, right? And that's what I've seen happen. That's why we need these spaces or support groups for men. And they are out there. If you go to meetup.com in your area, you could find a support group for men, right? If you're a man and you're struggling with that, you can come join us over here in Coach Eli's neck of the woods. You can also join my genuine emotional support group for men and women on Reddit. Just go below the description, a couple of lines down, join that group there and ask your questions there, or just email me, ask your questions there, or, just comment in the live chat or the, live stream replays or pre-recorded videos in the comments section, and we'll support you. All right. Let's see. In a recent evaluation of Manhood 2.0, Equimundo's interactive 13-hour, 7-session curriculum focused on gender, power, relationships, consent, and more, young men report that they valued having a shared safe space to talk about their feelings and to break down gender stereotypes. Furthermore, Manhood 2.0 participants were more likely to report at post-intervention that they have someone they can go to when they feel sad, depressed, or stressed. Okay, so this Manhood 2.0 group is, encouraging men to help other men. That's a good thing. We need more groups like these. One group like this is not going to cut it. We need a ton of groups that, support, men in general as a whole, as a collective. Bottom line. But this is a good start here. Good start. Greater feelings of social support. Percentage of participants who reported feeling they had strong social support before and after the intervention. Pre-test, 67.3%. Post-test, 83.7%. Okay. How can we shift our expectations of men's social connections and manhood more broadly? Many of the behaviors society identifies with manhood, such as self-sufficiency, acting aggressive, and asserting control, are communicated from a very young age and throughout boys' and men's lives. How we raise our children and which stories we choose to tell them about how they should be living their lives has a huge impact on how they will embrace or reject gender stereotypes. For parents and for peers, this means we need to encourage and affirm boys' and men's vulnerability and ability to form and maintain connections. It means allowing and creating space for uncomfortable and critical conversations about what it means to be a man. So, the bottom line is this. Is part of being a man is being physically and emotionally strong. Most of the time, that is, right? Because most of the time, your lady's going to be emotional and she's going to need you to balance off, her crazy emotions, right? Okay. But there are also other times where, something happens which makes you feel sad or lonely or depressed or hurt. And even if you're in a relationship, there's nothing wrong with sharing that with your lady. Hold on a second. All right. Let's see here. For parents and for peers, this means we need to encourage and affirm boys' and men's vulnerability and ability to form and maintain connections. It means allowing and creating space for uncomfortable and critical conversations about what it means to be a man. Yeah, I believe I just read that, but it was worth a second read there. Yeah, absolutely. Could not have said it better myself. And that's it. And that's the first blog there. We are at 34 minutes. I'm going to go ahead and take an early break and then come back and go over the second blog, which what I will do is I will switch on over right now because I'm going to have to adjust this, and I'd rather do it right now. So let me do this. Give me a second there. Yeah, this blog is formatted in a crazy way. So there's no other way to do this. So I'm going to make it as big as possible here. I think that's the best it's going to get. That's the best it's going to get. All right. Let's go back to full screen. Cue up some royalty-free YouTube music and take our one break for tonight. Boo-doop, boop, boo-doop, 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 boo. That's one. That's two. That's three. And one more. That's four. So music is all queued up. I'm going to step away for a 7 or 8 minute break or so. And when we return, we will continue with the second blog. It's even more interesting. So stick around. Round. We'll be right there. we're back. We are back. Mr. Tumnus with another $50. It's a super sticker this time. We'll get back to you in a second. Oh my God, I just noticed that. Oh my God. What is going on here? What is this, the 12 days of Christmas? Well, thank you. We'll get back to you in a second, Mr. Tumnus. This is, oh my God. All right, let's get back to it here. I'm at a loss for words. All right. Welcome back to Navigating the Modern World with Coach Eli, live here on YouTube, live on Coach Eli. 2 authentic live streams, the most positive place on the internet. Glad you could all join me here tonight. Tonight, we've been discussing the great importance of emotional support for men. One more time. We've been discussing the great importance of emotional support for men. Missed the first part of the show, go back and check out the replay. Guys, if you learn what I'm talking about here tonight, it will change your entire life. You will feel so much better about yourself. Women will be more attracted to you, and just everything will fall into place, and you'll be in a relaxed, calm, and peaceful state. But before we get back to that, I just want to remind everyone, and Mr. Tumnus will address you again here in a second, because I'm at a loss for words. If you would like to donate to support these channels here that my lady and I run in our coaching service, because we are primarily supported through crowdfunding and your donations, you can do so in one of many ways. You can go to the bottom of the chat, just like Mr. Tumnus did, and hit the super chat or super sticker. On the live stream replays, once they're done processing, or any other pre-recorded video on any monetized channel, you can hit the heart that says thanks. That's called the super thanks. And what that will do is that will put a paid highlighted comment in the comments section of that video you do the super thanks on. Also, you can donate via PayPal or Cash App. Nightbot has been sharing my PayPal and Cash App links every 7 minutes in the chat. On PayPal, you can go to paypal.me/Coach Eli. And on Cash App, you can go to $the real Coach Eli. And as always, donations are greatly appreciated, but they are not required. Yeah, baby, Mr. Tumnus.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Tumnus.
My lady says, thank you, Mr. Tumnus. Yeah, no, I mean, I'm seriously at a loss for words. And, some people may think, okay, well, this is a game. Eli is buying his own super chats. No, why would I do that and lose 30%? It's, YouTube and Google take 30% of that. No problem, right? But it'd be stupid for someone to do that just for show. So I want to clarify that, I have an idea of who this is, but I don't know for a fact who it is. But we're very grateful and thankful, Mr. Tumnus. Now, over the last, week or so, or a little less than a week, you've donated $450 to this channel. And God bless you. I was telling my lady earlier tonight, I'm like, look, at some point, this has to stop. I'm like, it's like, I just hope Mr. Tumnus stops, and I'm not telling you to stop, man. Do what you got to do. It's your money. But man, at this point, I really wish I knew who you were so I can personally thank you or do something for you in return. That's just the kind of guy that I am. My lady in the chat says, thank you, Mr. Tumnus, by respectfully, maturely, and professionally. Hang on. I got a message from behind the scenes. I just need to check this real quick. Give me just a second. Sorry about that, folks. I've got people from behind the scenes just, cheering me on, and just letting me know, who is this Mr. Tumnus, or asking me, who is this Mr. Tumnus? And I don't know. I don't know. Thank you again. I can't thank you enough. I'll continue to thank you throughout the show. Let me update the channel donations to $100. The person who's probably been making the donations is probably having a good laugh at my expense for trying to figure this out. And please laugh at me all you want. This is just the way I am. This is how I was raised to be. It's like I've never actually had anyone in my life just be this generous. And I greatly appreciate it. I sincerely appreciate it. So thank you so much. We'll continue to acknowledge you throughout the show, Mr. Tumnus. But let's get back to the actual topic tonight. Again, we're talking about the great importance of emotional support for men. Back to the browser screen. And this second blog is a little bit longer. I'm going to try to blitz through it as quickly as possible. It is titled, What Men Secretly Want, Emotional Intimacy. What Men Secretly Want, Emotional Intimacy. The Love, Happiness, and Success podcast with Dr. Lisa Marie Bobby. So she's a beautiful therapist, if that's her, or psychologist. But let's read what was written on her blog here, because she knows exactly what she's talking about. What men want, emotional intimacy. What do men secretly want? Emotional intimacy. Despite popular belief, men have feelings too. No shit, we absolutely do have feelings. I can tell you as a dating coach, she's a dating coach, okay? Denver therapist, online life coach, and marriage counselor specializing in emotional intelligence, that I've worked with many, many men, and they have just as many feelings and emotional intimacy needs as women do. I completely agree, Doc. Big round of applause. Like I've always said, what's more important to me is the emotional bond, because I just can't sleep with any random woman to sleep with her. If I'm going to be intimate with a woman, when I'm intimate with a woman, it's because of the emotional bond, and that's what makes the sex/intimacy that much better. And that's what my lady and I have. I've been talking about this for many, many years, right? And now I find this, she labels herself not as a dating coach, but she's a therapist as well. She has a psychology degree and online life coach and marriage counselor. And this hits home with me. I completely value this. Men secretly crave to talk about their feelings. Men want to be understood. They want to know how to be more vulnerable in relationships, to let their emotions out, and just like everyone else, want others to care about their feelings. Amen. I mean, I don't know what more to add to that. That's exactly how I am, and that's exactly how I feel. And the way to be that way, guys, is to just be that way. If you love your woman, you're going to love her more than just her sexy body, right? But how much more attractive and appealing would her sexy body be if you had that emotional and mental stimulating bond with her? There's nothing better than that. As humans, we need to feel connected to others to build emotional intimacy. Connection happens when we feel genuinely known, emotionally safe, and cared for. Men want to feel the same thing. The reason why a lot of men are afraid to express this or show this is because they fear they're going to be called a weak man. And there's nothing weak about this. If you can emotionally bond with your woman romantically and all the time, that's the most masculine thing ever. Like, I'm not saying be sappy. Just share your feelings with her. Acknowledge her feelings. And when you're, having sex, call it more making love, intimacy. Snuggle with your woman. Kiss her. Give her foreplay. Don't just stick the turkey in, before you preheat the oven. When you emotionally bond with your partner as a man, it just feels so much better even for the man. that can't happen without letting our honest, authentic feelings be known. How else could it, right? Yeah. However, sexism and gender stereotypes negatively impact everyone, both male and female alike. We know that egalitarian relationships are healthier than ones that force couples into flexible gender roles. But when it comes to mental and emotional health, it goes even further than that. You want to be as close to equal as possible nowadays in a relationship between a man and a woman, okay? Now, I've mentioned this before recently. I'll say it again. I follow a few coaches. One is Coach Corey Wayne, and another one is Coach Dan Bacon. And Coach Dan Bacon has said, look, in the modern world, it's not about, trying to be better than your woman or her trying to be better than you. It's about being as close to equal as possible. But in order for a woman to respect a man, she has to be able to look up to the man. So the man needs to be slightly in the one-up position. And I like to say the man needs to have 50.1% of the power and the woman needs to have 49.9% of the power. It's as close to equal as possible, but still the man having the slight one-up position, because if a woman doesn't perceive the man to be slightly in that one-up position, she's not going to be able to respect him. She's not going to be able to trust his masculine core. And, she's just going to, not be able to, be with a man like that. She's not going to feel safe and comfortable to be with a man like that. So, wow, this is great. This is a great, great blog here. Men, emotional intimacy and connection. Men are oppressed by sexist forces from earliest childhood. Yep. It's the stereotype, right? That men need to be strong. Men don't cry. Men shouldn't show their feelings, right? Men need to be tough, right? Wrong. Be tough when you need to be tough to protect yourself and others you care for. But at the other times, during other times, be a cool and calm and collected dude that is easygoing and laid back. And allow yourself to be vulnerable. Just be yourself. Be your natural self. That's all it takes. One of the injuries they sustain is being conditioned to repress their emotions. Yeah, you repress your emotions. What happens? They build up and then you blow up like a volcano, right? You blow up at some point like a volcano. I've seen many men do this because they've repressed their emotions. Because of this emotional repression, some men struggle to stay connected to the full range of their emotions and express their vulnerabilities to others, be it to women or their fellow man. Guys, don't listen to anyone but yourself. Be yourself. If you feel like sharing your emotions, if you feel like sharing your feelings, go ahead and do it. Okay? Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. Okay? But you still have to have a good balance between being a strong man most of the time, and then at times when it calls for it to be vulnerable, right? Whether it's with your lady, your wife, or even other friends, male or female, allow yourself to be vulnerable, because that's when you're most real. When both men and women are vulnerable, that's when they're most real. So if as a man, at times when it's called for, you're vulnerable with your lady, just imagine how much more that would turn her on. It turns women on, guys, but you have to balance it, right? This is the individual legacy of toxic masculinity. Right. I cannot stand toxic masculinity, and it does exist because of all these stereotypes that, say that men are weak if they show emotion. No, they're weak if they don't. They're weak if they don't. And for the well-being of men and the people who love them, it has to stop. I agree. Big round of applause. It has to stop. Where's my button? There it is. Big round of applause. Yeah. All right. Let me check out the chat real quick. Okay, nothing else happening in the chat. Give me just 1 second here. All right. In this episode of the Love, Happiness, and Success podcast, Andrew Rayner, a professor of men's studies, a frequent contributor for the New York Times, and the author of Better Boys, Better Men, The New Masculinity That Creates Greater Courage and Emotional Resiliency, shares his experience with toxic masculinity and his advocacy toward enabling an open, healthy, and transparent emotional life for young boys and older men. You know, I am so grateful and thankful, to both my parents for the best upbringing my brother and I can ever have. God rest my father's soul. He passed away 13, almost 14 years ago. My mother's still around. I had my father until I was, I believe, 34. And my father taught me masculinity, to be a strong man and don't let people take advantage of me, but to also be a gentleman, okay? And only use your physical strength when you or anyone else you care for is in danger, okay? Never abuse your physical strength as a man. My mother taught me how to be empathetic and nurturing and loving and caring to all people, and to be good to all people no matter what. And even when people aren't good to me, which is, something my mother taught me in my younger days, it doesn't mean you have to be mean to them. Maybe don't spend time with them or focus on them, but just let them go and, just wish them the best and still be kind to even people that aren't kind to you. Just don't go out of your way for those that aren't kind to you. I'm very grateful and thankful to both of my parents. Very grateful and thankful. Thank you, Mom and Dad. Appreciate that. Not everyone has been fortunate enough to have that great of an upbringing, but folks, you can still learn and understand this stuff. And that's why I do what I do here. I want to help as many men and women, work through these issues that your parents should have taught you, but they didn't for whatever reason, right? And it's never too late to turn things around and live the best life possible. Tune into this interview to get Andrew's insight into why men secretly crave emotional intimacy when it feels so hard in the battles men and boys must often fight to create emotional connection and attachment in themselves and in their relationship. I'm going to share the link of this blog at the end of the show. I'll put it in the description section for those of you on the replay, because you can actually access. I believe you can access the podcast from this website. And this is a great person to follow. I am going to follow her. In this episode, What Men Secretly Want, Emotional Intimacy, we are discussing how to recognize the signs of toxic masculinity and how it affects men. Tremendously affects them. Absolutely. Absolutely. I am completely against toxic masculinity. And those men out there that say toxic masculinity doesn't exist, no, it does. It does. And we need to take a taller stance on it and help these men that are toxic turn their lives around and become better and stronger men that are not afraid to be vulnerable at times when it's called for. The importance of a well-developed emotional guidance system and how to create it. Yeah, that's cool. How to cultivate healthy masculinity in order to have greater courage and emotional resiliency. How to realize men's needs for emotional intimacy and enormous capacity for emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence is something that most men lack nowadays. And if I can tell you the number one thing, once a woman is physically attracted to you, that the physical attraction has to be there on both sides first. But once that is there, the single most important thing, or the single biggest thing that turns on a woman besides your physical attraction as a man, is your emotional intelligence. And most men lack emotional intelligence. I can help you turn that around, and I want to. How to understand the importance of expressing genuine emotions and empathizing with others. Yeah, have empathy for others. Some guys are, so closed off emotionally that they don't have empathy for anyone else, even when empathy is called for. And that's a lack of masculinity right there. It's one of the biggest insecurities a man can have, and it tremendously lacks masculinity. Why male privilege is really more of a trap. Find out how men and women can emotionally support each other, and more. Okay. Keep reading for the highlights of this episode. You can find a full transcription of this interview at the bottom of this post. Okay. Let's see. We are at 1 hour and 7 minutes. How much more do we have here? I want to see if I want to go through all this. There's not a whole lot. We're going to go through it because it's very important. And then I'm going to share this blog posting along with the other one so you folks can actually listen to this podcast if you'd like. It's pretty good. What men secretly want. Podcast takeaways. Overcome the trauma of toxic masculinity by pushing back. Whoa. Okay. What we are teaching our boys every time someone says don't cry or shake it off or hit back harder, it is common for kids to squabble. But no one routinely encourages girls to assert themselves through violence. No, they don't. We allow women to be vulnerable. We allow women to be emotional. But we tell men to shut that shit off. And that's very unhealthy. And that's what creates bullies. And that's what creates men that do very, very bad things. I won't say those types of men, but you can figure it out. All these men, all of the men that have done bad things, like these, killers and predators and stuff like that, it's because of this right here, folks. It's because of this. Okay? We do that to boys, though. Boys are expected to fight back for themselves or to get back at their enemies. I used to feel that way myself in my younger days, but I learned through my parents it's not the right way to handle it. As I've gotten older, I don't encourage fights, and even if people try to, antagonize me into a fight or a reaction, I just ignore it. It's not worth it. It's not worth my time, and I don't want to allow these people to, get me to sink into their negativity. I want to live a positive life. Okay. If they don't, they get labeled as cowards. Oh yeah, how many times have people called me a coward on YouTube or a coward in the real world because I was strong enough to not fall into their bullshit, right? Yeah, the only cowards in these situations are the people that are calling you a coward. Again, like I've said many times in the past, when people come at you in unreasonable ways, it's typically because it's a direct reflection of how they see themselves, right? So if someone calls you a coward for being vulnerable and in touch with your emotions and having emotional intelligence as a man, okay? When they call you a coward, it's because it's a direct reflection of how they see themselves. They wish they could be as strong as you and as open and vulnerable as you. So don't let them get to you. Just understand that's what it is. If they don't, they get labeled as cowards and lose status in the eyes of others, even their parents. Anger is good, empathy is bad. Well, that's what they're saying, but it's not good. Anger is not good, and empathy is not bad. What does that do to them? Well, it really messes them up. And it builds up, and then eventually at some point, they blow up like a volcano. And if you're the woman that's around that guy when he blows, you're going to be in trouble, right? You don't want that to happen because of these culturally indoctrinated expectations that start at such a young age. Boys engage in aggression as a way to express feelings and prove their masculinity. A real man does not have to prove their masculinity. A real man just embodies masculinity, and he gives off that aura to everyone around him, including his woman or other women or whatever. And he naturally comes off as a man without having to try to prove it. A man that has to try to prove masculinity is very insecure. And that is a sign of weakness right there. And women will perceive you as weak the more you try to prove how much of a man you are. Just be a man. Don't try to prove that you're a man. Just be a man. That's it, right? Andrew says, boys and young men, because of the lack of awareness, look for a way to prove themselves. I used to feel the same way. I used to feel the need to prove myself to everyone. Now, I don't feel the need to prove shit to anyone. I don't feel the need to prove anything to anyone. The only person I feel the need to prove something to is myself. Again, The only person I feel the need to prove something to is myself. And you should look at it the same way. It will turn your life around, and none of this crap people throw your way will bother you. You're going to realize, again, it's a direct reflection of how they see themselves, right? And what they're saying about you is not true about you. It's true about them. They just don't want to own it yet. So they try to throw it in your face and kick you down along with them to bring you down to their level so that can make them feel better. What, temporarily? Pathetic, right? At a young age, Andrew himself got into fights to prove that he was not a coward. Yeah, I knew many guys like that back in my grammar school days and high school days. However, by the age of 12, he realized he did not want to hurt people. He wanted to stop succumbing to the pressure to be aggressive. So he began to find a better way. Wow, 12 years old to figure that out? I'm going to give him a big round of applause. Yeah. Yes, yes, yes. At 12 years old, he figured that out. I'm getting a lot of text messages tonight. Give me just 1 second here. All right. People keep asking me about Mr. Tumnus. I'm just going to keep saying thank you again, Mr. Tumnus, for your $50. It was a super sticker this time. But back to the blog here. As a young teen, Andrew frequently observed boys his age during junior high. He saw the aggression and the violence and had empathy for the pain that many of his peers were carrying underneath. He saw other boys and young men around him learning to withdraw from their emotions. He recognized that happening inside of himself too. Yeah. So as a young teen, this dude Andrew saw this. And he probably learned to not be that way because he didn't want to be that way. And that's the way that I was. Primarily because my parents raised me that way. And because they raised me that way, I always looked at the good in people, not the bad, right? And when people would behave the opposite way, such as the stereotype of men need to be aggressive and beat other men up to be men, that never fazed me. It made me sad that other guys felt that way. And I still feel that same way to this day. And I've been doing whatever I can to turn that around. But some guys are just stuck in this, okay, you know what, if I can't, knock someone out, I'm not a real man. And if you talk smack about me, I'm going to knock you out, right? That's just, an example there. It's not the right way to do it, right? I carried that with me well into adulthood, refusing to back down and also starting to pick apart the things about masculine identity that I saw were just hurting and harming other boys. Andrew recalls it wasn't just me. I mean, I was just sitting back in junior high, just watching and just taking note of all this and just thinking I've got to find other ways to push back against this. What you got to do is call these men out and tell them that your behavior is erratic. Your behavior is not manly. The more you try to prove how much of a man you are, the less of a man you are. Just be yourself. Be cool and calm. And don't feel the need that, you have to beat up some guy or some boy to feel like you're a man. It's quite the opposite. Now, if you need to defend yourself, legitimately defend yourself, but don't go out of your way picking on another man or boy and, beating him up just to prove to other men in your circle that you're man enough to be a part of their group or just man enough in general. Come on. Yeah. Finding an outlet for feelings, emotional intimacy. Andrew shares that he found emotionally safer spaces in his relationships with women. I agree. Same thing. My woman is open to my emotions. I'm open to hers. Like, I really love what my lady and I have because we can talk about anything and everything, right? And she doesn't fear scaring me away. I don't fear scaring her away, okay? And we have such a deep understanding because we both allow ourselves to come from a vulnerable place. And when you're in a relationship, like I said earlier, when you're in a relationship and you both allow yourselves to be vulnerable, there's nothing more beautiful than that. There's absolutely nothing more beautiful than that. Okay. He says it is leaning into the place where you can feel safe with your emotional life. And that was in the research in my book. I mean, just endlessly boys in high school talking about the friendships they have with girls, not surprisingly, because those are the places where they have that safe space, right? Yeah. Us guys, we would always have locker room talk, right? After PE class or gym class, right? And when you're younger, you're like, yeah, man, I'm dating. Let's just use a name, for example, Kim. Oh man, she's got just big boobies and nice booty, and man, I'm gonna bang her this weekend, and we're gonna go hang out. And she's just really cool to hang out with, and that's how guys talk, and that's all fine and good right there. But what happens when you break up? What happens when she breaks up with you and you're hurting, right? You need to have that emotional support group, right? Men, even men that can't admit they want the emotional bond, they want it. They're just lying to you. They're lying to you because they're too insecure to admit it. And there's absolutely nothing insecure about wanting an emotional bond with a woman. Like, why would anyone want to be with a man that doesn't want to be with her emotionally on top of physically, right? Just saying. Just like women, men also want to show and reveal their genuine emotions. However, they cannot freely express their vulnerabilities, especially with fellow men, because they tend to regard their emotional lives as feminine. Boy, how many times have us men held back our emotional feelings, right, with our friends because we knew they were gonna, regard our lives as feminine. They were gonna call us girls. Dude, you're acting like a girl. Dude, quit being the female dog. The B word, right? Right? You're being a female dog, right? And after a few times, when you're trying to get that emotional support from your group of guy friends, and they say, dude, you're acting like the B word, the female dog, right? Or dude, you're acting like a girl, you're acting like a woman. You're like, screw it. I'm not going to put myself through that again, right? But here's the funny thing. When those guys need your emotional support, you're the first one they come to. That's what would happen to me. These guys, all my guy friends would come to me for emotional support when they'd go through a breakup or something emotional. But when I needed their emotional support, they're like, dude, suck it up, buttercup. You're a man. Be a man about it. All right? She wasn't worth it, right? I mean, you get the point, right? You get the point. He also observed that younger men of this generation tend to push back against this perspective. This was evident in his Jericho Circle project, where younger male inmates of a prison in Massachusetts led the discussion group and older men would follow suit. I've got nothing more to add to that. All right, let's see how much longer we have here. Oh, we're almost done. Just a few more paragraphs. Sexism impacts everyone. Yeah, I agree. Andrew shared a relationship phenomenon uncovered by his research, which is that some women, whether consciously or not, tend to dismiss and undermine men's emotional lives and vulnerabilities because of a disinclination to offer more male privilege. However, Andrew explains that such responses are counterproductive. He says all the privilege that they've had so far has not really encouraged or fostered a healthy masculinity. That's the thing. Oh my God, I could not have said it better myself. Let me read it one more time. This guy Andrew that was on this therapist podcast says all the privilege that they've had so far has not really encouraged or fostered a healthy masculinity. That's the thing. Yeah, because they're telling guys to go out there and be tough guys. And any guy that gets in your way, beat him up. Or just beat up a guy to prove you're tough. Beat up a guy for no reason to prove you're tough, right? That's not healthy masculinity. Healthy masculinity is being cool and calm and relaxed and at peace within yourself and loving yourself as a man and focusing on your purpose like I focus out here on YouTube, right? Being vulnerable, allowing yourself to be vulnerable, and don't be afraid to share your feelings with anyone, including your partner, right? That's healthy masculinity. Everything that most guys are telling guys to be, if you do the opposite, you're going to have your act together and you're going to have healthy masculinity, right? Historically speaking, Andrew recognizes men's privilege and power. However, it is much more complex than that. This power embraced by men becomes more of a trap than a privilege, particularly when it leads to the withering of their emotional selves and to the detriment of their marriages and families. Yeah. I mean, nowadays, with women being liberated, and you know what? I would have been this same way even before women were liberated. Okay? I respect my lady as my equal, right? Some guys out here are saying, I am more valuable than the woman because I'm a better provider, I'm stronger, whatever, blah, blah, blah. I mean, if you're a guy that still thinks that way this day and age, and even for guys that thought that way back in the days before women were liberated, I don't have respect for you because why would you want to marry a woman and have a family with a woman that you could not see as your equal, right? So it shouldn't be about male privilege or female privilege, right? It shouldn't be about male privilege or female privilege, is what I'm trying to say. And it shouldn't be about male power over female power or female power over male power. Men and women should work together as a team, as a collective. And men and women balance each other out. There are some things that my lady's better at than me. There are some things that I'm better at than her. But together, we balance each other out. That's how men and women should be, in my opinion. We should be more of a team, right? Let me see here. Let me check out the chat. We are still good. Men who were socialized out of emotional intelligence can struggle to maintain relationships, both personally and professionally. Yeah, absolutely. It can help you it can hurt you in the workforce and in your personal dating relationships or even friendships, right? In the end, toxic masculinity can stunt men and make it difficult for them to be happy, healthy, and whole, and even wealthy. Let's throw wealthy in there as well. In the end, toxic masculinity can stunt men and make it difficult for them to be happy, healthy, and whole. And I'll throw in wealthy as well. Big round of applause for that last line there. I really like this Andrew guy. I really, really like what this Andrew guy is saying as a man. Well done. Well said. Andrew says, we know that when you teach men and encourage men to get in touch with their emotions beyond the happiness and the anger, only good, generative emotions and changes in the way that they think and see the world better arise from that. Yeah. If you're a man that's emotionally intelligent, emotionally aware, right, and you have emotional self-control, everything else falls into place. Have you heard of the phrase, when you lose your emotional shit, you lose it all? That's the bottom line. When you lose your shit as a man emotionally, no woman's going to want to be with you. No job's going to want to hire you. If you're self-employed, no one's going to want to pay you for your business. You get your emotional shit together, and everything else will fall into place, guys. Bottom line. Been trying to say this for many, many years now. I've been trying to teach this for many, many years. Okay. Let's see. And then, of course, all women and girls are going to benefit from that too. Yes, big round of applause! Yeah. So when you have your emotional shit together as a man, of course, all women and girls are going to benefit from that too. They're going to respect you as a strong, confident alpha male that's also sweet and sincere and genuine, right? And authentic, right? Wow. I'm at a loss for words. Like, this has been, I've really enjoyed this show. This has been a great day. This has been a great week. Like, I'm in a superb mood. I think it's primarily because my woman finally moved in with me earlier this week, and man, everything's fallen into place. There's so much more to talk about regarding my lady and I, and I'll probably talk more about it tomorrow on a walking stream I'll be doing in the morning. But yeah, I'm just in an amazing mood. All right, we're about to wrap this up here, folks. We're getting towards the end, so please get your final questions, comments, or concerns in the chat. We'll be going off the air in about 5 or 10 minutes. However, Andrew admits that there is still a lot of work to be done to achieve this. Oh, brother, I could not agree with you anymore. Let me read that one more time. However, Andrew admits that there is still a lot of work to be done to achieve this. Big round of applause once again for you, Andrew. Yeah. Yes. Final paragraph here. Healthy masculinity and emotional intimacy, even as the idea of masculinity evolves. Man, I think I'm getting tired. Even as the idea of masculinity evolves, both straight and gay men still struggle with being more open about their emotional lives. Well, I have a lot of gay male friends, and they're good guys, and they have less resistance towards expressing themselves emotionally than straight men. That's just what I've noticed. But I mean, it can happen to anyone, regardless of their sexual orientation. Fortunately, Andrew finds there is more encouragement for a different kind of masculinity in this generation. Well, I keep saying this. We will chalk it up once again to the decline of masculinity during the millennial generation, primarily based off of their lack of parenting. And it's like you almost can't even blame the millennials. But, you know, the oldest millennial now is 40, almost 41. For millennials that are over the age of 30, if they haven't figured it out yet, or especially if they're in their mid to late 40s and they haven't figured it out yet, despite their parenting, with all the information out on the internet today, and including people like me that can help them, I don't know what to tell them. They're going to just continue to suffer until they figure it out, until they let that shit go and allow themselves to be vulnerable and be more in touch with their emotions and express themselves more emotionally. Here are some of Andrew's recommendations for fostering emotional health and emotional intimacy in men. Women expect emotional intimacy from men. Yeah, I've been saying that all along. Why would any woman want to be with a man that she cannot get emotional intimacy from? In return, however, they should also support men by welcoming various degrees of vulnerabilities. Well, yeah, a woman needs to encourage her man and say, look, baby, I know you're a strong man. And you know what? I don't think of you any less, but I really love it when you're vulnerable with me. It makes me feel closer to you, right? So yes, women need to encourage that, and men need to just let their guard down and just let it all out. When necessary, that is. Okay? Andrew recognizes that this hyper-competitive culture expects men to be fixers or problem solvers. Yes, we're still fixers and problem solvers, but nowadays that women are liberated, they're fixers and problem solvers too. So work together with your woman to fix problems together and then problem solve. Thus, we should encourage men and women to be more understanding and empathize with each other. It speaks for itself. I have nothing more to add to that. It speaks for itself. Men can and should also start being emotionally supportive of each other. This is the most important thing, guys, as a group, as a collective of men. Men can and should also start being emotionally supportive of each other. Big round of applause for that one. Yeah, this is great. This is great. I think it would go a long way if men could learn to reach out in really small ways to other men. That is something that we do not encourage in this culture, Andrew says. Men tend to isolate themselves during difficult times. Well, yeah, when it gets too emotional, men walk away rather than just tackle it head on. I never walk away from emotional situations. I don't walk away from any situation. Unless it's somebody that's attacking me that I don't care for, then I'll just walk away but like when it comes to my lady, I don't walk away from the emotional situations. I, encourage her to let it out, and I encourage her to share with me what's going on so I can understand and, do whatever I need to do or whatever she needs to help her feel better, right? And she does the same thing for me on the flip side, right? Women do the same thing on the flip side. Okay? However, they also need emotional support, care, love, and affection from other people. Yeah, men need the same thing women do. Yeah, we're human, right? We're human too, just like women. We're all human, right? Men and women are humans. We're just biologically different. We process our emotions differently. That's the only difference, right? And our body parts, but you get what I'm saying, right? And last but not least here, Andrew says, the thing that we often forget is that even though a lot of guys won't take the help, deep down, they appreciate it. One more time. Andrew says, the thing that we often forget is that even though a lot of guys won't take the help, deep down, they appreciate it. Big round of applause! Big round of applause. Wow. What a great, great blog. What a great, great blog. Let's go back to full screen. We're going to be wrapping this up in just a few. We're at 1 hour and 34 minutes. Not bad. I was, thinking it was going to take about an hour and a half to get through this. Still early on in the evening. It's only 10:40 p.m. Pacific here, 1:40 a.m. Eastern Time. Let me get the blog links and add them to the description section here. Links to blogs. There's one. It's so great how you can easily even update this while you're live on the air. YouTube, you've done such a great job with the live studio and all the tools you give us. And let me just click save. And it's updated. We're all set to go. All right. Before we get on out of here, once again, Mr. Tumnus, thank you for your $50 super chat. Much love and appreciation. My lady and I both greatly appreciate you. If we ever find out who you are one of these days, we will keep it quiet, but we will thank you in some capacity. And if not, you want to remain anonymous, God bless you. You've made a big difference. We love people, whether they donate or not. But, the truth of the matter is, we can't survive, without financial support. And we definitely appreciate yours. So thank you once again. And have yourself a wonderful night. And to everyone else that was watching behind the scenes, with just my lady in here, this was a members-only chat. Tomorrow, one of my streams will be members-only chat, and the other will be subscribers-only. I'm not sure if it's going to be the walk or the in-studio stream, but just to be on the safe side, if you want to purchase the $2.99 membership package, at least you'll be able to chat when I do members-only chats on my publicly available live streams. Or just go for the $4.99 package that will get you everything else, including the pre-recorded members-only content. Moderators can chat for free in members-only chats, but they cannot get the pre-recorded members-only content unless they pay the $4.99 package minimum. You can buy a larger package. I've got $4.99, $9.99. I believe I have $49.99 and $99.99. I can go and check real quick, actually. I forgot my own membership packages. So if you give me just a second, I will check them out right here. I'm not going to put this on the screen. Let's see, memberships. Give me a second here. Yeah, we've got the members only live chat for $2.99, sponsor $4.99, sponsor $9.99. Then it's sponsor $24.99, sponsor $49.99, or superfan sponsor $99.99. Anything between $4.99 and $99.99 gets you the same thing, gets you everything. It's just up to you how much you want to donate to sponsor the channel or support the channel monthly. All right. That's going to do it, folks. I'll be back tomorrow for an early stream. Then my lady and I, we're going to work our side hustle tomorrow afternoon. And then probably both of us come back together in the evening for a nightcap. We'll probably do that show together tomorrow. With that being said, have yourselves a good one. Take care. And as always, be good to each other.